right, good morning, good morning. Today is Sunday, July 7th, and it is day number 66. EAT is right here, going this way. That's northbound. This was our campsite last night. We're all packed up, ready to go. Riley's patiently waiting. We had a good night last night. It's always wonderful to get to our campsite. It's the best part of our day. But now in the morning, all the excitement, like we're ready to start the day, so that's great. But the best part of the day is getting to our campsite. So in the morning, like right now, it's like kind of the least exciting part of the day, because the excitement of getting to our campsite is so far off, and it would always be nice to just like sleep much longer than sleeping until the morning. But that's okay. We had a restful night's sleep. It was a good night, and we're doing fine. It doesn't feel too hot today so far. We will get started with the day and see how it goes. I say how like it's not exciting right now, but if we were to just stay here in one place, we would get fed up with that pretty soon. It's nice to get moving and be active. So we should be thankful for that. So day 66, Sunday, July 7th. Riley is so patient. We're gonna go a few miles, get to Swifthorn Gap, and then so usually what I do in the morning is I don't feed him immediately. We get started hiking, and once we start, he quickly uses the bathroom as he needs to. And then after a few miles, I'll take a break and give him his morning food. Sometimes he doesn't like to eat before he has a chance to use the bathroom. So yeah, that's just a little tidbit on what we do in the mornings. Yeah, we are up on High Top Mountain, and I believe there's views like pretty soon, but no views here, but still a beautiful campsite. We'll get started with the day, and we'll check in later. Bye for now. All right, this is the view from High Top Mountain. I think it's one of several views. There's probably several views. And we got Jim and Jim here. We met several days ago.
Yep.
And we've been seeing each other every day. So beautiful start to the day.
Do it.
That would be a good place. That would be an excellent place, especially right out on the limb there.
Myself, I'd have been dead, so wouldn't have to live with the shame. You want a profile shot, or just the dimple shot?
No, that's fine. You got it.
Here you go.
I want to get a picture from where I'm at though too, because it's really nice out here. The view to the right. Okay.
Thank you. So that looks like that is Swift Run Overlook right down there.
Right down where?
Down there, the parking lot.
Okay. You got a stick.
Hold up, buddy.
That's a nice stick, Riley.
Good day. Riley and Van Gogh here, checking in. We're descending a cool little natural staircase here. By the way, since we're descending this staircase, I was hiking with Jim and Jim yesterday. One of these days, I think it was yesterday. And there was a cool little staircase we were descending that was formed just with rocks that were positioned ever so perfectly so that it formed a staircase, kind of like this. And I remarked that it was, I just remarked a question about how did this form? Like, did it form naturally? Or did someone place the rocks here for the purpose of forming a staircase? Because on the one hand, if it formed naturally, that just seems like a very low chance that it would form naturally. And if they were placed here by humans, well, that would make a lot more sense. But it also would seem like a ton of effort. Someone, people would have to pick up the rocks and place them there. And the older Jim was behind me, and he actually answered, and he said that a lot of this work, I assume he knows what he's talking about. He said a lot of this work was done by the Civilian Conservation Corps, the CCC, I believe in the 1930s during the Great Depression era. And I'm somewhat familiar with the CCC. I had heard that they did a bunch of, a lot of work in building the national parks. But I hadn't thought at the granular enough level of detail to think that they would have actually contributed to building staircases like that. It definitely seems like a low probability that it would form naturally, so it makes sense that it was done by humans, and if it was done by the CCC, that would make sense too, because they did a lot of work out here, and they were ready, able, and willing to put forth that kind of effort to accomplish what, I guess, whatever it was they were instructed to work on. I don't know how the process worked in determining what they needed to work on or what they didn't need to work on, but at least I sort of have an answer now to my question. I remember thinking the same question when I was hiking through the Laurel Fork area back. That was back just prior to that hostel called Boots Off Hostel in Tennessee, where they have like the Laurel Fork areas where they have a bunch of really cool rock formations. And I remember descending down to where the falls area was. There was another really big natural or stone staircase that definitely seemed like it would be a very low probability that it would have formed naturally. So, Riley and I are doing fine. I was thinking before I turned the camera on that I always say Riley and I are doing fine. And that is, that's partly because if we're not doing fine, like if we're struggling in some way, I'm probably not going to get the camera out. I'm probably just going to be trying to deal with whatever it is we're dealing with. And it's only when we're actually doing fine that I feel comfortable taking the camera out and putting my attention towards talking and filming somewhat, and kind of multitasking with the hiking. By the way, there's Riley. You're doing awesome, Riley. He's doing awesome. He's walking very well right now. He's not putting any pressure on me. He's not trying to get around me, but he's keeping up with me. So this is much easier on me when he just hikes at my pace. So a few updates on the day. Number one, the temperature has been very, very pleasant. It has not been overly hot. It's just been, it's almost been like the perfect hiking temperature. I mean, it could be a little cooler, but it's definitely so much better than the oppressive heat that we've had in recent days and recent weeks. There's the sky. I can see that it's mixed. There's several clouds, but there's also patches of blue. I think I started the day by showing a view from High Top Mountain shortly, just a few steps from where we camped. So this morning, just as I closed out that first video showing our campsite, Riley started wagging his tail and barking, and he heard a couple hikers coming, and it was Jim and Jim. They walked right up on us right as we were ready to start, so that was like perfect timing. Actually, I mean, it was cool that they hiked up on us right as we were ready to start, and that gave Riley a ton of motivation to get going in the morning. And he was just going gangbusters. I was having to put so much energy into controlling him. If he was in front of me, he was trying to just bolt as fast as he could. So I tried to keep him behind me, which I was able to do, but I had to, constantly work at keeping my trekking poles on one side and the bag that I'm carrying on the other side, because he was trying to get around me so he could just bolt ahead. But yeah, it was cool seeing Jim and Jim again. They told me that they hiked till 1:40 in the morning last night. That sounds crazy to me, but like I said yesterday, they set up their tents at one of the overlook areas around 2 o'clock yesterday, and they said they were going to stay there until 5:30, but I think they said they didn't leave there until like 6:30 or close to 7. And so they just like hiking in the evening when the temperatures are cooler, and they hiked all the way to 1:40. I totally understand why their motivation in that. And they have good headlamps and good night lighting, so they're able to do it. And I'm not, more power to them if that's what works for them. What do we got here? All right, spring 80 yards right, Pocosin PATC cabin, 55 yards left. What? Left? I mean, there's an arrow. Oh, well, there's an arrow pointing right. Anyway. All right, so I think Riley, hold up, buddy. We don't need to go to the spring. Hold up, buddy. There's another water source coming up. I mean, first of all, we haven't really needed that much water today because it's not super, super hot out. And I still have, I don't have a lot of water on me. I have a little bit less than a liter, I think. But Riley and I took a break a while back, and Riley had some good amount of food and water, and I also got some food and hydrated. Riley, hold up, buddy. And we're approaching Lewis Mountain Campground, and there's a camp store there as well. I think that's a little under 2 miles from here. And then shortly after that, I think about a mile after that, there's another shelter called Bear Fence Hut, I think. And there should be a water source there as well. So we're in a nice stretch here where there's water sources more frequently. It's not like the 10+ mile stretches where there's no water. So that's definitely a good thing. So going back to Jim and Jim, yeah, they hiked till 1:40 in the morning, and then I think the other crazy thing is they get up really early in the morning. I think they said they got up at like 6 a.m. this morning. They definitely got up earlier than I did, because they hiked from Smith Roach Gap, where I passed through last night. That was over 2 miles south of where I was camped, and they caught up to us, or they were to hike in just as Riley and I were leaving. And I think they said they even stopped in at the High Top Hut shelter area to fill up on water and spend some time there in the morning. But they hiked, their goal today was to get to Swift Run Gap, which was like 2.7 miles from where I had camped on top of High Top Mountain. And then they were planning to get a shuttle back to Waynesboro, where one of the guys' cars is parked, and they were going to move the car up. And the way they do they're doing a section hike currently. They're doing Damascus, Virginia to Delaware Water Gap, which is the end point of Pennsylvania. So they're doing all of Virginia, West Virginia, which is like 4 miles, Maryland, which is like 40 miles, and Pennsylvania, which is 300 or so miles. And I think where we are now, they're about halfway through their current section hike, or their current section. And they're actually going to complete their section hike this year. So after they get to Delaware Water Gap, they said they have about 150 miles, the northern 150 miles in Maine to finish up, and then they'll have completed the entire trail over, I think, like three different stretches, or 3 different long sections that they've done. Anyway, so as I was saying, they were going back to Waynesboro today, and they have all their resupplies like just sitting in one of the guys' cars. So they just need to get a shuttle back to the car, and then they can pick up whatever they need for the next little stretch. And their strategy is they just keep moving the car forward, get a shuttle back to the car, move it forward, get a shuttle back to the car. And they can resupply directly from the car once they're able to get back to it. So Riley and I hiked with them until Swift Run Gap, which was just that was just the morning stretch, like 2.7 miles. And they've both been very, very kind to myself and Riley. I mean, they both like Riley a lot, but they've also been very kind to me. Like, they offered to get me something, or bring something back for me if there was anything I needed from Waynesboro, and just give it to me if we're able to see each other again, which there's a good chance we'll see each other again. But anyway, so the only thing that I did think of something. I mentioned that I could use some anti-itch cream, because I've been, with all the hot weather we've been having, I've been doing a lot more sweating over all of my body, and that's been contributing to some partly also just contact with various leaves. I've been developing some rashes on my body that have been getting increasingly annoying to deal with. And so I mentioned that if they could find some anti-itch cream in a hiker box at the hostel. The hostel is called Stanimals, which is the hostel associated with the shuttle that they were getting. I mentioned that could be something that I might appreciate. And when I mentioned that, one of the gyms, he just got out his own thing of anti-itch cream, which is antifungal. I don't remember the brand. I think it's like cortisone or something like that. And he just gave it to me, and he's like, I'm going into resupply. I'll be able to get another one easily. The itchiness, it's not bothering me now when I'm hiking, but like last night, as soon as I settle down into the tent and I'm not hiking anymore, for some reason my attention is diverted to the itchiness of my rashes, and I have a very strong urge to start scratching, like for just scratching for just continuous periods, and it just feels so good to scratch. So tonight, when I start feeling that urge, I will use the anti-itch cream that I now have. I started the trail with some creams, but I didn't use them for so long that I sent them home in one of my mailboxes. I think I sent it home when I was in Damascus. But now that I've started to get some rashes, it's I don't really care what the weight is. I mean, the cream doesn't weigh very much anyway. So anyway, so that's a good thing. I'm glad I have the cream now, and I'll be able to use it tonight. And when we stopped to take a break a little while ago, and the hiker that I had previously met in Daleville named Uno. So I had mentioned that there was these two female hikers, Uno and Midnight, that I met in Daleville, and they had rescued a little kitten. So I had seen Midnight since then several times, but I haven't seen her recently. And I hadn't seen Uno at all. But Uno came walking up all by herself. It's the first time I've seen her since Daleville. And so she let me know that her parents actually just picked up Chicken. Chicken is the name of the kitten. Chicken is the name of the kitten that they rescued. And her parents are now taking care of it. And so now Uno has her hands free again. She doesn't have to hold the kitten in her arms the entire hiking day and worry about dropping it. And so all seems well with the kitten. Her parents are going to take care of it for the foreseeable future. And then I guess when Uno gets off trail, she can take over again and take responsibility. So that was good to see her again. And I said good job to her for taking care of the kitten while she had responsibility for it. And since our break, I've been making a more concerted effort to go at just a kind of a slower, more comfortable pace. I feel like I was going a little too fast earlier. Partly it was because Riley was very motivated by other hikers that had passed us. And so Riley was like really wanting to go fast. But I think the break helped to calm Riley down. There haven't been any hikers that have passed us since then. So he's not trying to hike too fast, but he's also not demotivated. He's hiking fine. And I'm just trying to go at a comfortable pace. I've been feeling fatigued. I'm always fatigued, but I've been continuing to feel fatigued, just from all the hiking. And so when I'm continuing to push myself, that's fine when I feel strong and when I feel motivated, but it's not really possible to really push myself very hard like the entire day. And it's really nice to try to find a nice comfortable pace where you can just hike and it sort of feels like it's not too much effort that you're putting in. And I feel like this is literally just something that, I'm always conscious of trying to go at a comfortable pace, but since our break just a hour or two ago, I refocused myself on that goal.
And it's definitely easier to accomplish that goal when you're not going uphill. When you're going uphill, I mean, you almost have to go at a really comfortable pace or you're going to get really tired really, really fast. I've been eating some good food recently. I have brought a lot of food with me from Waynesboro. Last night so I packed out a big bag of instant mashed potatoes. I also packed out a bag of instant brown rice. Instant brown rice is just brown rice that when you soak it in water, it will not hydrate instantly. I mean, if it's hot water, it will get soft pretty quickly. But if it's room temperature water, like I do with cold soaking, then it needs to stay in the water for at least an hour before it gets soft. But unlike regular rice, it will get soft after that hour plus of soaking time. Anyway, so I was saying I brought some instant mashed potatoes, some instant brown rice. Those aren't my exciting foods though. I brought 2 jars of chocolate fudge frosting, which I don't think I've ever brought frosting with me out after a resupply on a hike. But I was talking with a hiker just before Glasgow, the guy named Max Patch / Dragonbait, and he was telling me that he likes to buy frosting and bring it with him. So I decided I want to try that. I want to bring my frosting and eat my frosting and have something really, really fun to eat. So I got, it was like 2 for $3 at the Kroger for the frosting. And they had like 6 different flavors, and I just got 2 of the chocolate fudge flavors. And I've already eaten an entire jar of chocolate fudge frosting. I spread that over the past 3 days, I guess, and I finished it off during our last break spot. Definitely a fun purchase. Anyway, but last night, I just wanted to describe my dinner last night. I also packed out a can of mixed vegetables, which I had bought originally because I wanted to have it with my salad, but I found that I didn't have enough room to. I bought too much food, too much food for my meal that I was going to eat in Waynesboro from the Kroger, and so I ended up not eating it when I was in Waynesboro. So I decided to just bring it with me instead of throwing it away. By the way, in terms of cans, I also have a large can of hickory brown sugar baked beans, and I also have a large can of Fruit Cup, which, crazy me, I've been carrying since Daleville. I need to eat that very soon, but I also want to wait until I really think I'll enjoy it. I don't want to just eat it just to get rid of it. But so those are the 2 cans I still have. I have a can of baked beans and a can of Fruit Cup, which I'm really looking forward to eating whenever I have the right appetite for. But last night I had the can of mixed vegetables, and I mixed it with a jar of instant mashed potatoes and instant brown rice. And I mixed the vegetables in with the mashed potatoes. And I was really hungry, so I didn't give the brown rice enough time to fully hydrate. So as I was eating it, the rice was kind of crunchy. but the mashed potatoes hydrated like instantly, so that worked well. And I took spoonfuls of peanut butter and mixed it in with mashed potatoes and the mixed vegetables. By the way, the mixed vegetables, it basically had like a whole bunch of different things. It had like carrots and corn and green beans and some potatoes and lima beans and maybe celery. A bunch of different things. Just a standard can of mixed vegetables that you'll find in the supermarket. And yeah, so I was really hungry when we ended the day yesterday, and having the mashed potatoes with the mixed vegetables and the peanut butter, it absolutely hit the spot for me, and I was very, very, very much enjoying that meal. And today I've been eating pretty well. I had some oatmeal and apple cinnamon peanut butter. I'm sorry, oatmeal, regular oatmeal plus apple cinnamon oatmeal. I had that for breakfast at Swift Run Gap. And the older Jim, since he was going into resupply, he gave me 2 more packets of his original flavor cream of wheat. And so at our last break, since I had them directly on me, I decided to have that for a snack, along with spoonfuls of peanut butter. And I enjoyed that very much. I had that initially, then I had the chocolate fudge frosting, and I also had several marshmallows. That was another thing I packed out from Waynesboro, a bag of marshmallows. Anyway, so I've had all like a good amount of food today, so I'm not starving, but I'm sure by the end of the day, by the time we get to camp, I'll have worked up an appetite to enjoy whatever I decide to have for dinner tonight. Mr. Riley, doing awesome back there, doing awesome. All right, I've been talking long enough. Don't want to over talk and bore people, even though I'm sure I've already accomplished that, and whoever's bored by now has just tuned me out and is not watching anymore. So we will check in later. Hope everyone is doing well. That looks like a kind of I mean, it's a nice flat piece of ground back there. It's not very big, so a possible tent site, but possibly too small as well. All right, so Riley and I will check in later. Bye for now. All right. Van Gogh and Riley here. Mr. Riley, how are you, sir? Okay, checking in here. Well, I started the day by saying that getting to camp is my favorite part of the day. And we're almost at my favorite part of the day. You can see the sun is setting over there. We passed by Lewis Mountain Campground earlier. When we got there, we had done about 11 miles on the day. And there was a short side trail into the campground, and Riley and I decided to go on in there to fill up our water. They had multiple water spigots, so we just filled up our water at one of the spigots. Walked a little bit extra to get to a trash can to dispose of some trash, and Riley got a drink from a puddle near where the water spigot was, and then we got back on trail. Prior to that, I had checked my far out to see what our options were for camping, and what I learned is that there's this mountain that we're ascending now. I believe it's called Hazeltop Mountain. and we passed by Booton's Gap a short while ago. Booton's Gap is a parking area on Skyline Drive for it, and from Booton's Gap it's supposed to be 9/10 of a mile up to the summit of this mountain, and we've already done a little chunk of it. And according to my Far Out app, my trusty friend Far Out, there should be some campsites up on top of the mountain. And I looked a little bit further to see if there were other campsites beyond. Riley is telling me to stop so he can sniff the rocks here. And I didn't see any good options for campsites beyond, like in the near term. So our intended destination tonight is to get to the top of this mountain and set up camp there. And I think assuming we get there, which we better get there, because if we don't get there, then I don't know that there's any other campsites to get there between here and there. Yeah, so we're gonna get there, and when we get there, I think we'll have done like 15.3 or 15.4 miles on the day. Oh my goodness, Riley keeps pulling me back. At least when he's pulling me back, it's just because he's sniffing, not because he's exhausted and tired. He's just curious. Anyway, so just in terms of mileage, I mean, this whole hike, it's not about mileage. It's about enjoying the hike, enjoying the experience. But part of that is trying to finish. And to finish, we need to hike miles. And so in terms of the mileage, I am pleased with a 15-mile day. But I'm also kind of pleased that we're actually on track to get to our campsite with some daylight left. That hasn't happened in like way too long. We're usually getting to our campsite at like 10 p.m. or after dark. And the daylight is definitely dwindling now, but there's still plenty of daylight. And it's definitely going to dwindle fast. But I think we might be able to get to our campsite with a little bit of daylight left. So that would be super nice. It'd be super nice to just get our tent set up and then get a really good night's sleep tonight. Maybe get to bed earlier than I usually do. Because we've been getting to camp so late, after completing all our camp chores, you know, stuff like setting up our tent, getting our bellies filled, stuff like that, I haven't been getting to bed until like, you know, midnight for multiple nights, or even some nights after midnight. So it'd be nice to get to sleep tonight before midnight, and it would also be super nice if I could get some reading done. I haven't gotten any reading done in probably like a week because I've just been too tired. Like once I'm actually ready to possibly turn my Kindle on in my tent, at that point I'm too tired and I'm just ready for sleep. And yeah, anyway, so I haven't gotten any reading done. It'd be nice to get some reading done tonight. So that's all. That's our update. We'll check in when we get to our campsite. Cheers, and bye for now.
Past each other and
Yeah.
no joke, man.
No, but it's so cool to see each other, like, again, when you don't expect to see each other.
Yeah.
Like, because
You want some more?
I saw the pack, your pack back
You gotta
there.
be
And
nice. This has got to last me 2 days, man.
hey, man,
I'm gonna give you some more though, because you.
I'm gonna give him a good dinner tonight. Don't worry about. Yeah.
Ah, there you go, baby. Normally, like, I'll be honest, you know, especially on like I didn't eat much today. I normally bring this full for 5 days, and
Yeah.
you know, this and like 2 protein bars a day, and I'm good to go.